Give me 30 days. I'll walk you through a practical home routine to help bring triglycerides down without gimmicks. It starts with one food you'll add on purpose each week, then 2 simple swaps that make that food work harder for you. You'll measure, you'll track, and by the end, you'll know what changed and what to do next. I translate real science into plain English. This is educational and does not replace your clinician's advice. Here's the whole idea in one breath so you can picture it. Update your fasting numbers and note a tiny baseline. Add fatty fish 4 times a week cooked in ways that protect the good fats. Replace liquid sugar and most alcohol with water or unsweetened tea, and swap the big refined starch dinner for fiber plus unsaturated fat. That's it. 4 weeks, repeatable and realistic. If your triglycerides are very high or you've ever had severe belly pain with sky-high numbers, talk to your doctor now. Very high triglycerides can trigger pancreatitis and need medical management alongside food changes. Cleveland Clinic explains this risk clearly and flags levels above 500 as a red zone that deserves prompt care. Let's reveal the this. It's fatty fish rich in the marine omega-3s, EPA and DHA, salmon, sardines, herring, anchovies, and Atlantic mackerel. A scientific advisory from the American Heart Association describes how EPA and DHA reduce the liver's production of triglyceride-rich particles and can improve their clearance. Food isn't a prescription, but steady intake nudges the same machinery in a gentler way. The point is consistency over spectacle. Before you change anything, take a baseline you can compare later. If your last fasting lipid panel is older than 3 months, ask for a fresh one so this 30-day experiment has a clear starting line. As you read the result, most clinics consider under 150 milligrams per deciliter normal, 150 to 199 borderline high, 200 to 499 high, and 500 plus very high. Mayo Clinic uses similar cutoffs in its patient guidance, and it's a helpful mental map: green, yellow, orange, red. Put the actual number in your notes. Open your phone and create a 1-minute daily log with 3 lines: number of sugary drinks, number of alcoholic drinks, and whether dinner leaned refined starch or fiber plus unsaturated fat. Add a waist measurement at the navel and a body weight once per week. Harvard Health explains that refined carbohydrates and added sugars push the liver toward making more triglycerides, and alcohol can do the same. Your tiny log tells you which lever matters most in your life, not just on paper. Why fatty fish specifically? Think of triglycerides as fuel packages your liver ships out in VLDL particles. When you flood the system with sugar, refined starch, or alcohol, the warehouse flips to rush order, and you see more VLDL shipments. The American Heart Association's advisory details how marine omega-3s dial down VLDL assembly and help remove those particles from circulation. Harvard's nutrition guidance adds that swapping saturated fat and refined carbs for unsaturated fats further supports healthier blood lipids. Taken together, that's our playbook: fewer rush orders, gentler shipping schedule. Now the routine you'll actually do for 30 days. Buy 4 palm-sized portions of low-mercury fatty fish for the week: salmon fillets, canned salmon, sardines in water or olive oil, small mackerel fillets, herring, or anchovies in olive oil all count. The FDA and EPA publish joint advice showing these species as best choices or good choices for most people because they're naturally low in mercury and high in omega-3s. If you are pregnant or planning pregnancy, follow those charts closely and rotate your selections. Cook in ways that protect those fragile fats. Bake at moderate heat, grill quickly, or poach gently. A squeeze of lemon, herbs, pepper, and a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil is enough. You don't need sugary sauces or heavy batters. Harvard's guidance on dietary fats highlights that moving toward unsaturated fats, like olive oil and the natural fat in fish, supports better triglyceride control compared with refined starches or added sugars. What about canned options? They're excellent. Canned salmon or sardines are budget-friendly and still rich in EPA and DHA. Choose versions packed in water or olive oil and skip sweet sauces. Drain lightly rather than rinsing away flavor and beneficial oils. If anchovies are your entry point, use them to perfume tomato-based sauces and pile in vegetables and whole grains to round out the meal. Common mistakes to avoid. Breaded fish is not the same as fatty fish for this goal. A tiny portion won't move the needle. And tuna every day isn't ideal because many tuna products have less EPA/DHA than salmon or sardines, and some varieties carry higher mercury. The FDA/EPA charts are your friend. Rotate species and keep it simple. If you don't eat fish, here's the plant-forward route. The NIH Office of Dietary Supplements notes that flaxseed and chia provide ALA, a plant omega-3, that the body converts only modestly into EPA and DHA. That means the triglyceride effect is usually gentler than with marine sources. So stack the deck. Use daily ground flaxseed or chia for fiber. Consider algae-based EPA/DHA after discussing it with your clinician, and double down on the dinner swap you'll hear about next. Let's make repetition easy with a 7-day rotation you can loop for 4 weeks. On Monday, roast salmon on a sheet pan with broccoli and carrots. Finish with lemon and a spoon of olive oil and serve over a small scoop of quinoa. Tuesday, mash sardines with Dijon and capers, pile on warm whole grain toast, and add a big salad with olive oil vinaigrette. Wednesday, go fish-free but fiber-rich. Lentil soup with herbs and vegetables, finished with olive oil and a handful of walnuts. Thursday, pan-sear mackerel and serve with steamed greens and farro. Friday, turn leftover roasted salmon into lettuce wraps with yogurt lemon sauce. Saturday, make a quick tomato anchovy pasta using whole grain spaghetti and a mountain of vegetables to keep the portion reasonable. Sunday, simmer a bean-based chili with avocado and a squeeze of lime. If you're plant-only, substitute 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed or a tablespoon of chia on fish days. Keep the fiber-rich meals intact and talk with your clinician about algae-based EPA/DHA if your numbers are elevated. Now for the 2 swaps that make the fish work harder. First, drop liquid sugar and most alcohol for the month. Mayo Clinic and Harvard Health both emphasize that sugar-sweetened drinks and alcohol can raise triglycerides by giving the liver exactly the inputs that ramp up fat production. Try a water-first rule for 30 days, plain, sparkling, or unsweetened tea, and you'll often notice steadier energy and quieter night cravings within the first 2 weeks. Second, trade the big refined-starch dinner for fiber plus unsaturated fat. Instead of white rice or a mountain of pasta, think beans, lentils, or chewy whole grains with colorful vegetables and a tablespoon of olive oil, a handful of nuts, or some avocado. Mediterranean-style patterns that center vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds, whole grains, olive oil, and fish have been associated with healthier blood lipids, including triglycerides, in large populations. You're running a focused, doable version of that for 1 month. Portion sizing and labels matter. A palm-sized piece of fish is around 120 to 150 grams for most adults, smaller than a restaurant slab, bigger than a token bite. A standard tin of sardines is usually 1 serving. Canned salmon varies, so weigh it once and then eyeball it. Choose sardines in water or olive oil. For anchovies, you're mainly using them as a flavor base. Add vegetables and whole grains, so the meal isn't just pasta with a salty topping. Taste, cost, and smell. Let's reduce friction. If fishy notes bother you, shorten cooking time, use fresh lemon and herbs, and balance with something tangy like mustard capers. If cost is the barrier, canned salmon and sardines are not only affordable but shelf-stable. Build 2 lunches a week around them. If kitchen smell is the problem, bake on parchment, ventilate, and set a small bowl of vinegar near the stove to neutralize odors. The easier the routine, the likelier you'll finish the 30 days. Movement multiplies the benefit. The American Heart Association recommends at least 150 minutes a week of moderate activity plus 2 short strength sessions. Muscle acts like a sponge for circulating fuels. When it's active, it helps clear triglycerides after meals. You don't need a gym membership. Brisk walks after dinner, body weight squats, and a resistance band cover the basics. 10 minutes done today beats an hour you never start. Supplements come up a lot. Prescription-strength omega-3s are used under medical supervision for very high triglycerides. Over-the-counter products vary in dose and purity. Food first wins for most people because it adds protein, micronutrients, and satiety along with omega-3s. If your numbers stay high after a month of consistent food changes and smart swaps, that's when a clinician might discuss medications or therapeutic dose omega-3s based on your overall risk. Troubleshooting the common roadblocks. Worried about mercury? The FDA/EPA joint advice consistently lists salmon, sardines, anchovies, herring, and Atlantic mackerel as low-mercury choices. Rotate species and you're covered. On blood thinners or have a bleeding disorder? Clear any algae-based omega-3 supplement with your clinician. Already on medications for triglycerides? Don't stop them on your own. This month is supportive, not a replacement for care. Let's tie the plan to your actual week. Do a 20-minute Sunday prep. Roast 2 salmon fillets with a double tray of vegetables. Whisk a quick olive oil vinaigrette, and portion 2 canned fish meals with lemon wedges and herbs. Park a pitcher of water with sliced citrus at eye level in the fridge. Move sweet drinks and habitual alcohol out of sight for the month. If your household isn't doing this with you, claim one shelf as My Month, so decisions feel automatic when you're tired. Tracking is the engine that turns recipes into results. Each evening, mark whether you hit your fish or plant omega action, how many sugary drinks and alcoholic drinks you had, and which dinner pattern you chose. Add 1 sentence about energy, cravings, or sleep. Once a week, record waste and weight. Harvard and Mayo both stress that changing the context, less liquid sugar, more unsaturated fats and fiber, shifts how the liver handles triglycerides. Your log shows the pattern playing out in your life. What should you expect across the month? Around day 10, many people notice steadier afternoon energy once the nightly sweet drink disappears and dinners get fiber-rich. Around day 20, the 4-fish rhythm feels normal, and social events get easier when you arrive with a default, sparkling water in hand, and decide on exceptions deliberately. By day 30, these habits look less like a challenge and more like your new baseline. If you're curious about the physiology behind how alcohol spikes post-meal triglycerides, Cleveland Clinic's education materials explain that alcohol is processed in the liver first, which can nudge fat production upward, especially with high-fat meals, which is another reason the water-first rule helps. Let's answer a few quick questions. Can you just eat tuna every day? Better to mix species. Tuna can be useful protein, but isn't the triglyceride superstar that salmon or sardines are, and some types carry more mercury. Do you need to avoid all fruit? No. Whole fruit in reasonable portions fits just fine. The target is added sugar, sugary beverages, large refined starch servings, and excess alcohol. What about breakfast? Plain yogurt with berries and a spoon of ground flaxseed or eggs with sautéed greens and a slice of whole grain toast will set you up for calmer mid-morning hunger than sweet cereals or pastries. If you're plant-only, manage expectations and stack the habits. The NIH explains that conversion of plant ALA to EPA and DHA is limited, which is why algae-based EPA/DHA can be helpful if your triglycerides are elevated and you prefer not to eat fish. The rest of the routine, dropping liquid sugar and most alcohol, building dinners around legumes and olive oil, adding movement, does the heavy lifting on this path. Now, book your check-in so momentum doesn't fade. Put fasting lipid panel on your calendar 3 to 5 weeks from today to catch your new pattern. On the morning of your test, bring your notes, baseline number, the 4-fish rhythm, the liquid sugar and alcohol swap, and the dinner changes. If the number improved and the routine felt doable, keep going. If it barely budged, review the log. Did sweet drinks creep back in? Did weekends blow past the plan? Did most dinners slip toward white starch territory? Fix one lever at a time and retest in a few weeks. If triglycerides remain high, especially in the very high range, make an appointment. You may need medication plus lifestyle, and your log gives your clinician a head start. Quick recap: you can screenshot 30 days. Update your fasting numbers and start a tiny daily log. Add low-mercury fatty fish 4 times a week, cooked simply to protect omega-3s. Replace liquid sugar and most alcohol with water or unsweetened tea. Trade the big refined starch dinner for fiber and unsaturated fat using beans, lentils, whole grains, vegetables, olive oil, and a handful of nuts. Move most days, even if it's 10 minutes after dinner. Repeat your blood test and decide the next step with your clinician. If this helped, comment your starting number and which fish you'll use this week. Share this with someone 50+ who keeps saying, "I'll fix it later," and subscribe so you don't miss the next step-by-step guide. Small, steady changes compound. Catching high triglycerides early may mean more healthy years with the people you love. Information guides decisions. Don't stop or start medications on your own. Talk to your doctor.